Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by, and welcome to the Infrastructure Management Global Community Webcast, Experiencing a New Admin Council for Unified Infrastructure Management. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question-and-answer session. To ask a question during that time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to start a question, press the pound key. Thank you. I want to turn today's call over to Matthew Carey, product owner. Please go ahead, sir.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, thanks for joining me today. This meeting here is to discuss Admin Console 2. It's a rewrite of what you guys have historically seen in past versions of UIM, what we called Admin Console. Admin Console itself is intended to be a web-based UI for configuring the UIM infrastructure. So this meeting serves the purpose of discussing a little bit of the roadmap, the vision. Where do we plan on taking this product? I'd like to also do a product demonstration. And at the end, of course, we're going to open it up for a Q&A. And for anybody that's interested, I have download links to share which are beta bits. So we'll kind of go over in the end what are we describing as beta bits so that we can set the right expectations, and we'll move on from there. First, an introduction, I'd like to put a face to the name for a moment. My name is Matthew Carey. I'm a product owner here at CA. We're located in Fort Collins, Colorado. Right now, we are focused on the CA UIM platform. Some of the things that I do day to day is Admin Console 2, if you're familiar with Discovery, UDM, the UIM message bus. These are all components within Fort Collins and within UIM that I work on and I help deliver value on each week. You guys notice at the bottom, this will be my email. So if you guys have any questions or any feedback at the end of this WebEx, please go ahead and send me an email. I'm certainly interested in your ideas. I need to share a standard disclaimer. Anytime that we're talking about roadmap items or things that might be delivered in the future, we need to be sure that we're not discussing commitments on dates or functionality. We are discussing working software. We are taking feedback on this working software so that when we deliver it in a generally available solution, we both know it works. I know it works and you, the customer, know it works. But nothing in here is to represent a hard commitment on dates. With that said, I want to talk about the intent. You know, why am I hosting a WebEx here talking about working software before it's even delivered? It's because here at CA, we're an agile shop. What that means is we're about interacting more with our customers and less about following a specific plan. We want to develop some software, reach out to the community and ask, how is this working? Get feedback and continue to deliver on more value. Let me take a step back and look at where does Admin Console fit in with the greater UIM roadmap. I've highlighted it here in red. It's one of the items for an upcoming proposed release. And the idea here is to have a web-based configuration GUI. It's localized, it's browser-based, and it allows us to remove a Windows dependency and provide a simplified user experience. You guys have heard me talk about Admin Console, and you guys have heard me mention the words product configuration and infrastructure configuration. You might be stepping back and asking yourself, well, now we have Infrastructure Manager, we have Admin Console 1, and we have Admin Console 2. Let me speak for a minute about what these 3 different products are and how they live together in the current UIM ecosystem. Today, across the top, you'll notice that we have Infrastructure Manager. It's a thick client. It's based in Windows only. And we have a set of functionality that we are targeting with that in a future release of Admin Console 2. So you'll notice that Infrastructure Manager slowly at some point in the future is phased out of development. At this point, we don't have any specific target dates or target time frames, but rather it would be a functionality time frame. Infrastructure Manager will continue to be available until such a time that Admin Console 2 has all functionality needed for product administration. So this is not going away anytime soon, but we're looking for a way to remove those workflows and put those into a more web-based UI. So if you fast forward to the bottom, you'll notice that we have Admin Console 1, which we've taken a lot of feedback. You know, there's a lot of information in the CA communities. There's a lot of information as you guys have interacted with support on what works about Admin Console and what doesn't work. So we've spent a lot of time taking that feedback and rewriting a much better solution, such as what we're calling Admin Console 2 today. It's an HTML5 web-based, fast, streamlined config UI. You'll notice that it's in beta today. This is what I'm going to demonstrate here in just a few minutes as working software of Admin Console 2. Let's speak about the use cases that are prioritized for Admin Console 2 beta, some that are coming in the GA solution, and even talk about what's underneath the covers and really what's exciting about this new version. So certainly we have probe and package deployments. You can manage everything in the archive that a user would need, including licensing. You can do your regular probe lifecycle management, stopping, starting probes, managing them on a robot. And of course, when you're working with support or you're troubleshooting your environment, you obviously need to be able to view your logs. You need to search those logs and download them for future use. I'll walk through some cases on how we can do that. I also want to observe here that all probes that were supported in Admin Console 1, they also work in Admin Console 2. They work just fine. We have complete one-to-one support. I'd like to note that one of the features which will be coming in the GA solution, yet we don't have them today in the beta release, would be probe callback utility. We know this is fundamental, and it's something that we're working on right now. Non-functional improvements that are equally as exciting. We've got scalability that's vastly improved over Admin Console 1. For instance, here in the Fort Collins labs, we've tested it with over 500 plus hubs in the test lab, and we've even had customers running it with hundreds of hubs in their own environment. You'll also notice one of the strong points that we've worked on was usability. We're going to find instances of that with archive management. We're also going to find instances of that when you're operating at scale. If you've got hundreds of robots or thousands even, you're going to notice that we list those in pages so you can easily scroll through a large result set and it renders in a more reasonable time. Part of the other features that we're going to notice is performance. Admin Console 2 resides in a different location, so as you deploy it into your environment, it's going to be a slightly different model, but the end result is that we're minimizing the amount of processes that exist from UIM services. We also have high availability. This is one item that certainly came direct from the CA communities. We know that a user can deploy many instances of Admin Console 2 throughout their domain. Specifically, you're going to deploy it to any hub that has a viable network connection to your database. I'd mentioned a couple times that we've gotten feedback from the community. I wanted to explicitly note a few of the items that you guys will observe as I do the demonstration today that came from comments customers have made on the communities, other comments that you guys have made when we've engaged on the phone and had further conversations. So there's going to be the ability for your eyes to quickly see which hub is my primary hub. So there's going to be an icon to differentiate the hub that has the data engine running on it. There's going to be an icon when you list all of your robots that tells you which robot is your hub robot. So your eyes, once again, will be glued to that information quickly. You'll notice that we have performance improvements for large environments. You know, I go back to this example that this is just pushing the needle way beyond what Admin Console 1 has ever done. Raw config has search. You guys had noted sometimes there's large config files and you've got a specific key that you're looking for. So we'll type that in. You know, that's easy to do as well. We also have improved information when a probe fails to deploy. In Admin Console 1, it just said failure. And now in Admin Console 2, we're propagating the specific failure from the probe and from the controller that fails. So if you're a probe developer, you can further use that to troubleshoot. Next up, I can talk about the ability to copy text from your deployment activity. We have every table the ability to not only copy to your clipboard, but also to output to CSV. Once again, I mentioned on the prior slide, we support redundant admin consoles. You can deploy this to every single hub which has a viable network connection to your database. And I can also mention that Admin Console 2, Admin Console 1, and Infrastructure Manager can all coexist. You can install UIM 8.4, you can install UIM 8.3.1, and you can put in Admin Console 2 and test it and play with it, but still not obstruct any workflows that you've had in the past. It's a voluntary adoption. this point, I'm going to go ahead and switch gears, and I'm going to share my desktop, and we're going to walk through a few of the use cases that I've mentioned now. Here we are. This login screen looks a little bit familiar. If you guys notice, very simple information. As with any login screen, just give your username and password, sign in. Let me try this again. All right, there you go. My apologies. So as we land into Admin Console 2, you guys will notice that our information page has changed from what it was in the past. This is our new landing page. You'll see here we've provided information which we believe most users are going to be seeking out fairly often. When you log in, what do you need to stand out and tell you how is my environment running? What are the things that are going well, and what are the things that would need my attention? For instance, we've got licensing right here. We can show that, I'm using a very small portion of the total number of robots available to me, so that's good. We can also notice that my license doesn't expire anytime soon, so I'm just set with my licensing. But if I'm concerned about whether or not my hubs are tunneled, I see right here that no, I haven't configured that. So that would be a quick opportunity for me to go correct that action. Another idea here is that I've got my robots. Right now you can see that I've got 2 robots that are behaving well, so they're both listed as green. If I had a case where there was a failure, there would be an additional icon here giving me that count. Other things that we can draw our eyes to here on this screen. Let's go and notice our version information. When a user wants to share, when a user's interacting with support, we'll often ask them, what's the version of your UI and message bus? It's just a quick way for a user to come in, copy and paste it, and send that in their email. Let me bring our eyes over here to the Actions button for a minute. You'll notice that every page that we go to here in Admin Console has an Actions button if there's actions available, and those actions are context sensitive. Right now on the information page for a hub, I have the ability to configure hub licensing. But if I'm in a different page, which we'll see in just a moment, we're going to have a different set of actions we can take. So let's move along, and let's go check out probe deployment. Here we are in the archive, and I've got things, once again, that when I land here, my attention is drawn to. First of all, I see that this probe right here has an update available. I can click on it, and it would be able to download an update in real time for me. I can also, if you notice, I have a checkbox here on the left. We can deploy multiple probes at once. Let's do that quickly. Let's grab this probe here, and let's grab this probe here. Now that I've selected 2 probes, if I come over here to the Actions menu, I drop this down, and these are the actions that I have available to me right now. You'll notice, once again, these are context sensitive. Let me walk us through how we deploy these probes to some robots. You can first see here on the left, we have the selected packages that I had made in the prior screen. This gives me the opportunity as a user to say, no, I actually don't need that package. Maybe I had accidentally selected 5, but I really only needed 4. So I would be able to remove one of those here. And then next, I'm listed with all of the hubs in my environment. And I can say, for my primary hub, deploy it to all of its robots. And then when I go to this hub, I say, I just want that robots. You can see them starting to add over here. You'll notice this X is the same behavior as this one. It allows us to remove items from this table in real time. Now that I've done this, I've said, I want these 2 probes deployed to these 3 robots. Click Deploy. And it comes to this deployment activity page. You can see some items are queued, real-time status, and we can get some items that, wow, they just completed. We can see the success quickly in real time. As this is going on, we have the ability to look at all of my deployment activity or other categories of deployment. For instance, I've now got my completed deployment. Now it's the same list. Let's walk back over here and look at some of the other tabs that we have available that are relevant. We have the licensing tab. So this is for our probes. You guys are well familiar with this if you're using Infrastructure Manager. You'll right-click and you'll say Add License. In this case, we'll open up the Actions button and we'll say Add License, and I would copy and paste right into here. Let's go ahead and switch gears and go talk about our robots. Here on the Robots tab, you can see my eyes are immediately drawn to the idea of what's this blue icon. If I hover over it, it says the robot contains the hub probe, and his status is OK. If I come down here and I look at this one, it says it's OK. So it not only gives my eyes a visual cue, but there's also the mouse over effect here. As we're looking at this table, as we're looking at the other tables that I've shown, there's a few icons here that are interesting and they have some unique effects to the user. If I hover over this one, this says Export to CSV. So it literally downloads the contents of this table. Let's open it up real quick. This right here is an output of the same information that we saw on the other screen. Status of my robots, the OS information, robot address, its IP, and its version number. Go ahead and exit out of here. Back on this screen, we'll notice that we can click onto a robot and we can go view its probes. We're actually landed on the information page. This information page, now we can see the status. One of the probes has failed. Some of the probes are active, and if we had a state in which we had turned off a probe or two, we would see an additional icon in that status. Once again, I can draw our attention here to the idea of what's the version of a probe that you're running. This tells us the version of the robot. So if we ask the version of a robot, well, we might ask the version of the other packages too. So we can scroll over here to the Installed Packages tab, and we can see all of the packages that are installed on this one robot. We can scroll through this list. We can see that Relationship Services is running version 172, and I can output this report. Simple as that. If you open it up, you can see all of this information. So this allows, as a customer, when I'm on the phone with support or when I'm doing audit within my own business practices, to say what probes are on what robots, just go and export this report in real time. Let's look at the probes and look at the actions that we can now manage with these guys. If you notice, in many places we have these triple dots. You can consider this to be a hamburger menu of sorts. So if we come over here and we select it, this now gives us the different options that are available for me to take. I can manage the probe lifecycle, so the probe is on right now. I'm not going to be able to activate it, thus it's grayed out. I can deactivate it, and I can do a soft restart. I could also delete it from the UIM system. So this would be the same use case when you can use Infrastructure Manager, right-click and select Delete. Doing the same thing. We can also configure it. We can open RConfig. We can view a config file. You'll notice right here that I've grayed out probe utility. So we are tracking this workflow closely. It's not available in beta, but we do plan to deliver it in the future. We can view log, and we can view log in a new window. Let's quickly view the log. In this case, it's 2 lines. Let's go and look for a different probe and do something more interesting possibly. Let's see if we can go to the Discovery Agent probe that we deployed, and let's do raw config first. So I can look through all the different sections. You guys see that when I click into them, it shows the values that are available. If I go back to the home area, it says go to the roots. If I wanted to search for something, let's say search for SNMP, it's going to show me, hey, here in this CFG file, here are all the instances of the SNMP string. So you can see that I'm searching in both of these cases, they are in subsections of a top level key. Let's go back up here and talk about how we can continue walking around. We've got the setup, log level. Let's change that real quick. So we can edit the value of the key, or we could even delete the key if we wanted to for some reason. In this case, I'm just going to say log level 5. I'm going to say updates, click updates, and in that case, you can see the update was successful, so it was able to do a raw config updates. Look at this fake package, This is the idea, certainly just a test package, but it's the ability for us to prove to ourselves. When I go in here, do view log, this probe failed to start, clearly. And we can see that as well here. So the log file supports the information we see on screen. Let's come back to the Discovery Agent probe for a minute and talk about how to activate and restart. Same thing, it's click the deactivate button. You can see live feedback here. You can see live feedback up there in real time. Let's go to the information page. You can now see, hey, you've got a probe that's been disabled. So this is just, once again, the ability to go to the information page, see the top level things that, is there a situation on this robot in which I need to go manage it? If a customer manages by exception, they would benefit from a lot of value here. Let's go in here. Oh, now I see that this is turned off. We know we just turned that off. Let's activate it. Now it's going to be on, and we're going to be able to go into the log file now. Let's go view log in a new window. This thing starts up, now there's more interesting information. If I search, let's just look for JVM. You can see there's 2 instances. I can iterate through those instances. And in the case where I had a log file that was interesting, maybe I wanted to share it with one of my colleagues at the office, or if I'm interacting with UIM support, they're going to obviously ask me, hey, can you download the log file? And it's a simple 2 button clicks. Click on the actions, click on download log. You guys can see that's down here. That's available for your use. You'll see here, so once again, we've got this export to CSV. If you navigate throughout Admin Console 2, you're going to observe the use of many tables. Our data is well displayed in a tabular view. So for your hub that has robots, for your domain that has hubs, notice this icon. So if I go here, if I go into my archive, I've got the icon. If I go into deployment activity, I've got the icon. So just think about the tables that you have, and you can output that. And then we also have this icon here that says, I want to change the columns that are displayed. So I might be able to say, I'm not really interested which hub was used, so I unselect it. And then, if I've got this view and I select export, you'll see that it exports the view that you had. So if I move this over here, you'll notice that there is no hub displayed here, and there is no hub column created here. So it's a great way for a user to trim up that information and provide what is most relevant to them and their business. At this point, that's the conclusion for the items that I wanted to show in the demonstration. I'd like to move on and discuss, when we mentioned Admin Console 2 is in beta, what does that mean? Well, first of all, that means that this is a work in progress. My goal as a product owner for CA is to show working software to customers, to be able to demonstrate what we've built, close the loop, ask you guys, how is this working? And look for ways to prioritize what to do next. So this is working software. This is nothing that is a production-worthy yet. That is what we're working towards. We must understand this is a pre-GA feature, and it will expose some defects, and we will have some feedback on usability issues to improve in the future. We ask for folks that use this beta build that any build shared would be considered suitable for test environments only. Admin Console 2 is not supported in a production environment. But I want to be clear here that the benefit is your help will ensure that CA-UIM is able to deliver a high-scale and reliable solution to the general markets. I want to observe, once again, as I went through this demonstration, there are some things that we will be delivering in a generally available solution that we don't have use cases for yet. So as we develop those, I'm going to continue this feedback loop of, here's what's just developed, what do you think? And those items are going to be Nimbus user management and probe callbacks. We know that users all day long are going to the discovery server and they're deleting master devices. We know that users are going to the hubs and getting a list of robots. We know these things are necessary and they're coming. Stephanie, at this point, I'm ready to open it up for Q&A and answer any questions from our customers.
Thank you. As a reminder, to ask an audio question, please press star to the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Once again, that is star 1 to ask a question. And at this time, there are no phone questions.
Matthew, we do have a bunch of questions that came in through the Q&A panel. Do we want to try to take some of those live?
Sure. Yeah, if we've got, oh yeah, here's one from Jason. Can you show searching for a single robot in Admin Console 2? Let me go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get back over here to Admin Console 2. And, you know, frankly, that's my fault. I didn't discuss one of the items that we have in most of our tables right here is a filtering option. I'm going to describe what is filtering and what do we intend to release at a future point in time that does better searching. So let me take the lead for that just a moment. If we go here into my domain list, we'll see that I have the filter. And if we observe all of the text that I have for each of the columns, so if I look for my hub column, my address column, let me just type in something that would exist in those columns. You know, if I just type in, I'm looking for something that would be unique. So if I say W2K8 for a moment, you'll see that as I search for that, it only shows me the 2 entries in this table which would have W2K8 in it. But yet if I searched for hub, everything in there has the word hub somewhere. You know, if you look at the top row, every one of these hubs actually has hub. Let's go find a different example and be specific for robots, as was just asked. It's the same process, but a different window. Here we are, we have filters, and if I look for the things, you know, we named, I'm on the primary hub, so I have my UIM server and I have my UMP server. Let's just search for UIM. You'll notice that UIM is listed twice because UIM is here, UIM is there, and UIM is here. Now let's search for UMP. I believe I should have one result. I do. And so this is the work that we have today working in the software. And to observe what we intend to have coming in the future, which is different than this, is for the user to say, show me all instances of robots running version 7.80 in my domain, or the ability for users to say, show me all robots that are running the Discovery Agents probe. Those are items that we have in the backlog, and those should be coming in a future release. Somebody name the next question that I should look for?
Yeah, if there's any you can take that are coming in through the Q&A panel, we should go ahead and take those.
Awesome. So let me start from the bottom, and we'll work up. From Peter, I have, how is the performance when Admin Console has to deal with 20,000 plus robot implementations? I can certainly ask my development team to figure out what's the top number that we've tested to, but I do know I have situations where customers who've worked with the earlier versions of this have large numbers of hubs, and with large numbers of hubs will come large numbers of robots. And to deal with that, we actually do pagination to say that don't display all thousands of these at once, display sets of them. So that helps us limit the queries to the back end as well as the load on the front end for a second point. And the third point is for all of the usabilities that we've done, we don't believe showing 20,000 robots in a single view is going to be helpful to a user. I have a question here from David. Can you view the probe configuration setting from AC? I actually have to keep bouncing back and forth. I don't know how to see the chat window and share my desktop, so I apologize for switching screens again, but here we are. We're going to be showing how to view the probe configuration. I'm going to go in here to a probe. You see my probes set. We're going to go click on the controller probe. We're going to say configure. And as I mentioned earlier, all of the configuration for specific probes, as you did it in Admin Console 1, will be the same in Admin Console 2. So if you're looking for prediction engine baselining, if you're configuring with any of these UIs that we have here, think about if you're an S&B collector user, it's the same workflow. So that's what I'm going to show here. I'm not going to actually step through any of the changes, but it's just a quick visual note of, yep, this is the same thing.
Matthew, how about this one question from Shadif? Will this admin console come with a future release, or could it be used with existing versions? I think you touched upon that in the beginning.
Oh, great question. Yes. So what our intent here, so we have no specific commitments right now, but my general intent, here we are today at beta. We have tested beta in UIM 8.4, UIM 8.3.1, and UIM 8.2. So for customers that are running any one of those environments, I'd love for them to deploy it in those environments, take it per spin. We expect it to work, and it is our intention for an upcoming release of UIM in the future. We'd no longer like to ship Admin Console 1 because we are almost at parity of Admin Console 1 with Admin Console 2, and it's a better solution. So we're actually going to be deploying Admin Console 2 in a future version of UIM. We will sunset Admin Console 1.
Great, thank you, Matthew. Let's take one more from the Q&A panel, and then we'll reopen for live questions. There's one question in here that said, can you touch on the HA capabilities? You say it is HA but lives in WASP, which is not HA enabled. Can you explain?
Yeah, how to answer that one. So my meaning behind this is that you could deploy, if I had a drawing, I'm sorry for being a little unclear here, but if you had 5 hubs in your domain, and each one of those 5 hubs could connect to the database, whether it's a primary hub, whether it's a primary failover hub, whether it's some other hub serving some other purpose, if you could deploy the WASP probe to it, and the WASP probe in this instance is for hosting Admin Console, it's not for hosting USM and being a heavyweight UI that requires lots of horsepower. This is a lightweight UI that you can deploy in many different locations. So that's the HA capability in this situation. It is slightly different than the UIM HA probe, which configures failovers in the UIM environment. Hopefully that's more clear.
Thank you, Matthew. Are you up for taking one more?
I'm up for taking many more, absolutely.
Okay, one more just came into the chat window that I think is interesting from Michael. You showed how to get a list of probes installed on a robot. Can we produce a list for all robots?
Currently, as the feature is built right now, we don't have that, but that is something that we have in the backlog, and we hope to release at some point in the future.
Excellent, thank you. Stephanie, can we reopen for live questions? I would love to see someone ask a live question.
Thank you. Once again, to ask an audio question, please press *1. And you do have a question from the line of Keith Morton.
Great. Hi, Keith.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I can, Keith.
Okay, great. So I have a whole page of questions. I won't ask them all, but what about logical grouping of robots, which we get in IM today?
That's coming in a future release. Yep. We definitely understand it's a valuable thing to have, and we continue to work towards that. One of the tenets of agile development is releasing software to a point in which our customers will derive value from it, and to making sure that as I deliver the next thing, I get it right. So as I develop that software, I'd love to interact with you and any customer that's listening right now and has some feedback on that one. Let's get on the phone and talk one-on-one on what that means for you.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, of course.
Just out of curiosity, is there a reason why you're not enabling right-clicks for for instance, you've got the 3 dots. Is there a reason why you chose to do that instead of right-click?
Man, I got to feel a little exposed here. I don't have a strong answer to that one. Let me sit down. One of the engineers that I have joining me on the phone, he's a user experience engineer, Jason Rinkner. I just need to sit down and brainstorm with him about some of the other modifications we might be able to make there. Let me ask him that question, and we'll have an answer for that one, because I frankly don't right now.
Okay, thanks.
Once again, to ask an audio question, please press *1 on your telephone keypad. And there are no phone questions at this time.
Okay, so I think what we should do is wrap things up. I'd like to thank Matthew, Carey, and the rest of the CA team here for delivering this presentation to the community. We'd love to hear from you all. You guys all know me, Melissa Potvin, I'm your community manager. What are your ideas for future webcasts? Let us know, shoot me an email, get in touch with me through the community, and let us know by answering the poll that you see on your screen now how you felt about today's presentation. Next week, we have another great presentation. Hopefully you've noticed we do most of our presentations on Tuesdays. So be sure to pay attention to the new events page on the CA community, and you'll see the whole list of events that we have coming in the future. Next week on Tuesday, March 22nd, we have a webcast, Consolidated Device Certification Program for CA UIM.